So today with Jason's haircuts, what we're going to be doing is we'll just be adding loads of texture through the top. I'm going to be using the Hazuki 6.5 Mataki scissors through here for added texture, channel cuts through there to remove a lot of the bulk and weight. Through the back and sides, we're going to be using these Icon scissors 5.5 and I'm just going to be scissoring a comb in through there nice and tight. We are going to be blending, but there's going to be a little bit of texture through here just so we can have a little bit more to play with through the sides. Let's get into it. So what we're starting with is the Mataki 5.5 Icons. And we'll be starting with the finer teeth of the comb. I'm going to be working that through here, so we can take it nice and tight around the hairline, and then going to be working into the sort of the thicker teeth of the comb when we start to blend out through this point here. And the top tip for when you're doing scissor over comb is obviously for the comb to be moving slower than your scissors. We want the blades to be moving quicker as we come up the head. What this will do is it won't create lines and it will give you a much more seamless blend. Checking here, when we come to blending, I'm using the comb to see where the head starts to curve, and that's the parietal ridge. So what we don't want to do is we don't want to curve up into the head because it will give it more like an egg shape. We want to come to that point of curvature and we want to be just sort of finishing off there and making a little bit more of a squarer shape. It is a bit more masculine, but it also keeps the head just a nice shape when you come to finish the haircut. So what I've done so far is I've just done my scissor over comb work with my Icon 5.5 inch. Took it more tapered down the bottom, around the ear and around the hairline using the finer teeth of the comb. Flipped it over to the wider teeth as we came up, and you would have seen me keep on checking the points of where I'm going to be blending up to. I really like to work with men's hair when it comes to the parietal ridge, so just that curvature of the head, I tend to always aim for that mark, even if I'm going to be changing it up slightly when we come to it when it's dry. I tend to always work up to the parietal ridge, so it gives me a real nice shape to work with, more of like a square shape. And I'm just going to put the detail in here. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be bringing the hair down to where I've just cut to, and then I'll be working my scissors up, and I'll be working in that sort of motion. And what that's going to do is that's going to put in graduation as well. So what we're going to do is I've just re-wet the hair. I'm just going to section out slightly past the curvature of the head. So I'm putting on top of the head like a box section. So what I've done is I've put a rectangle section on the top of the head, incorporating the crown, and then we're left with these weight points here. And these points of the head are normally the points that when gents come back in for their haircut, they're always saying their hair is getting quite bushy through here. So I'm going to be using a travelling graduation technique when we come through here. And it'll also blend the underneath, keep it nice and square, and then we'll work through the top. Channel cutting, texturizing, just taking off a little bit of length, and then that'll give us our haircut. So what I'm going to do now is subsection that through there. That leaves me that little bit of weight there. We then bring it down, so over directing down to our previous guide, and then as we cut, we just move our fingers upwards in a square shape, in a square line. And then what that's doing is it's graduating, blending, and keeping that square shape that we want to keep. Now I've done that underneath section, we're going to drop this down on top. That will then travel down to our previous guide that we just cut in, and then we're going to do exactly the same again. So dropping that section down, there's my guide underneath. We've got these hairs here, and we're just going to cut in a blunt line, but keeping a square shape. When we come to this back corner, so if you think that as a corner of the head here, I've taken that square, I'm going to take this square, and then when we come to personalising, that's where we'll deal with this if there's any disconnection or overhang. So same again, I've cut that square across there, stopped at this corner. If you think that as a corner, we're then going to subsection this side as we did the other side through there. So just separating that, we're then going to drag this down to our scissor over comb point, and I can see my guide underneath. I'm then going to go up. I'm just going to create that graduation by moving my fingers up, dropping that down. So if I was to go into the head like this, would be creating that curvature, whereas what we're doing is we're pulling that down to our previous guide. We're then cutting a square line and we're working up straight to the ceiling. Again, dragging down, we can see the guide going up, dragging down, going up, and then we've got that nice blend. And what the dragging down equals, or what the dragging down gives you, is it maintains length, because if we're over directing, you think that hair there, we're over directing that down, so we're going to be maintaining length. If we were to be pulling that up, we would lose it, because we'd be creating layer. But actually what we're doing is we're creating graduation, a nice square, strong graduation through there. And let's just blended that through. We're then going to pull this out. And I'm now moving on to the Hazuki scissors. So these are longer, they're an inch longer. But what I'm going to use it for is I'm going to use it for texturizing, and I'm just going to go through this piece through here, just to get a little bit of texture in there by point cutting. I'm then going to go back to my icons to work through the top, and then I'll come back to the Hazuki to just finish off any texturizing. So what I'm going to do is just going to put my scissors in, and I'm just going to take away some of that bulk. The reason I'm doing it now is because when I drop this over the top, I'm just going to have to resection again. So having this nice and open just gives us a chance to do it. So I'll put in a really heavy line here. So what I want to do now is just soften it. And the reason I find that the Hazuki 6.5 inches work best, or any longer scissors, is just because they can go deeper into the hair. I just find that just the length aids it so much. But you can see how square that line is through there. So I'm just putting in just some texture. And again, you can see on camera, we've got a really nice square heavy line there. So scissors in, just doing a deep point cut through, just to take a bit of the weight away, add a bit of texture. Elevating slightly, because that will create softness. And that's that. We're going to move back to the icon scissors now. So with the section all the way through the middle, I'm going to be connecting this back piece as our guide, and then that will give us a pure section straight through the middle, completely balanced, that then we can connect either square, we can connect it on the diagonal to take a bit of the bulk away and length away. So our middle section there, and our original, our guide that we put in, and I'm just going to follow that straight through, putting in a blunt line, because we're going to texturize it afterwards. And again, this section, follow that through. And instead of following the head shape, because we could follow that head shape through there, and we could take off all of that. But what we're going to do is we're just going to over direct that back up to the ceiling, so we maintain that length on the fringe area. So there, guide. There. So what we've got now is we have a guide here on the edge, and we have a guide straight through the middle, and we can bring it up to the ceiling, and we can see both our guides on the edge and in the middle. So I'm just going to be cutting that square across. See that there, I've got my guide there, and I've got my guide there. This is all the length we've got here. So I'm just going to go straight across, taking that off. And we're still keeping a really nice square line. Again, guide, there's our undercut section that we cut. So when we get to around about an inch from the front, I'm going to start over directing that back slightly because I don't want to be taking any length really off that front. We want to maintain as much length as possible. So just over direct back, and we're just nipping off those pieces. And that is that side done all through there, and then we're going to texturise it. Exactly the same on this side, finding both our guides. But we're cutting from our outer guide this time, so what you should find is the guide there and the guide there should be exactly the same. And then you just marry it up in the middle. And then as we get to an inch from the hairline, again, over directing back to that point. So now switching to the Hazuki, because Jason's got so much hair, we're just going to channel cut through it to create texture and remove a little bit of bulk. So all we're doing is, I'm not going to shut my blade completely, I'm just going to run it through and sort of just tease it out with the butt of the blade through there. And then again on the opposite side. We're now going to blow dry. I'm going to come back, texturise it, and then we're just going to get some product in there and finish it off for you. Now it's all dry, just going to get scissors in here, the Hazuki, and just point cut, just to create a bit of texture. we go, finished haircut. Get some paste in there. Something nice and simple. But I just hope there's some techniques in there that you all learned something.